Alrighty, folks, it looks like everyone's all here, so let's go ahead and get started on today's training on getting started with Microsoft Excel. Hope everyone is doing well today and ready to learn a bit about this platform. Within today's meeting, we're going to be in a regular Teams meeting. So if at any time you need to come off mute, just press that microphone icon and that will give you the ability to come off mute at any time if you would like to ask your question out loud. You'll also have a chat functionality there. So if you would like to send messages through the chat feature, that's going to be up and running and we'll be able to see your questions come through there. We're also going to have a hand raising feature right here. And if you utilize that feature, and that's just going to give us the ability to call on you. If you want to interrupt me at any time throughout the training today, I can stop at any time and answer any questions that you may have. But with that, we're going to have this up and running the entire time. Ignore that it says your cameras and microphones will not be in use. You can definitely use both of those things throughout today's training since we are in a regular Teams meeting. So in today's training, we're going to be going through the Excel ribbon, getting you comfortable with all the functions that you're going to have within Excel. And then we're going to show you how to format workbooks, spreadsheets, defining cells, defining data, formulas and functions, and teaching you a little bit in this introductory level of how to utilize these things, how to analyze and sort information, helping you track financial data, and much more. So the goal for today is for to help new and also novice users become comfortable with the basics of Excel functionality. So we're going to hopefully by the end of today understand these functionalities and how we're going to use them best. So today we're going to explore how to create Excel spreadsheets from your own and from templates, and how to use formulas to perform calculations. And we're also going to be playing around with charts and graphs from tables, adding formatting to these tables, and more to help you better understand your data and how to compellingly present it to others. So that's the biggest part of all. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into today's demo. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment as I pull up this demo environment, or rather just drag it over into the other screen here. And I am sorry if anyone hears that bird outside. Hold on one moment. Stop sharing. All right, and everyone should be able to see my screen just fine now. All right, perfect. So in today's session, we're going to be primarily within the Excel application. So after you have downloaded the full Office application, you're going to be able to find Excel just like any other app. But for yourself or any colleagues that don't have this application yet, these are the steps that you're going to take to get it. So what I always like to take everyone through this part because you never know if someone has this app yet or not on their device. But we'll go to office.com. And I don't want to restore my past pages, so I'll close that out. We'll go to office.com. You'll log in through your credentials from this page. And from this page, you're going to see most of your Office applications that you're going to have access to online. If you ever need Excel on the go, this is going to give you the ability to open up those documents, accessing anything that you have saved through the cloud. So the cloud being OneDrive, it's going to be here within this Office tenant online. But in the scenario that you would like to install Excel or Word or any of the Outlook applications that we have within that suite, you're going to go over here to install apps and say install all Microsoft 365 applications to get this full suite on your device. So if in the case that you or any of your colleagues don't have that yet, that is how you're going to get that full Office suite downloaded and accessible. So after it is added in, we're going to be able to access Excel just like any other app, just by typing in Excel into our search, and it's going to open up from here. So the first thing that we're going to see whenever we open Excel is we can create a complete blank workbook, which is going to be a workbook that is free from any templates, any formatting, and also just giving you the full capacity to just create whatever you're needing to create. We're also going to see some very helpful tools here, like a welcoming take a tour to get you started with Excel, which after today's training, feel free to use this. This is very helpful to just guide you on how to begin in Excel. We're also going to have a formula tutorial that will be here, as well as a pivot table tutorial, which is a little more advanced of a tutorial. But these are all great learning tools to help you in your journey as you learn about Excel and the capabilities that you're going to have in this area. We're also going to find some other amazing things that can help you save some time overall, because most of the tasks that we have in Excel, or anything that people are trying to create, has already been created or been thought about by somebody. So we have this area called templates here that can help us save some time. And we'll see some templates that are already here, like your Gantt project planner, a simple Gantt chart, a weekly schedule planner. We're going to see some helpful things here. But if I go into more templates, we're going to see a whole list of templates here. And not only templates, but we're also going to be able to filter it down to our business templates, personal planners and trackers, list, budgets, and so on. And I think we have another folk joining here, so let's add them in. All right, perfect. So we're going to have all kinds of templates that we have available here, where we can perhaps save some time by grabbing one of these templates and just plugging our own personal information into this. For example, we have an expense report down here, and I'm going to click on this expense report. And for any of the templates that we have listed here, it's going to give me a little brief of what it has in this template. So this is to help me track travel or other business expenses for reimbursement or taxes using an expense report. And totals will be spending by subcategories and grand total, and this is an accessible template. So if I wanted to utilize this, I can say create, and there's some things that are automatically going to be placed in this template for me to help me save time. It's going to have a nice title here at the top, where I can see it's already labeled expense report. If I'm wanting to change the name, all I have to do is select that cell and then go here to the top to change that name to whatever I would like it to reflect. And each of these areas, I'm going to be able to select and then just go into our formula bar here to decide what changes I would like to have made here. So our formula bar is always going to reflect what is inside there. We're going to talk a lot about this formula bar today, but we're going to be able to select these areas and just customize the information that's here. I can change the date around to be today's date. Instead, I can say 1/24/2023, and then change this date to reflect our time period that we're in now. And I'll be able to do the same thing for the name down here if I wanted to reflect it to my own personal employee or my own department. We're going to be able to go into these areas and just quickly I can type in without having to go into that formula bar. You could just begin typing to change these areas. So we're going to have the ability to customize these zones and really save a lot of time. And if I scroll down, it's even going to let me add in information, and we're going to have the ability to see our totals change down here. So as I add in these numbers, so let's say I have $100 here, And you'll notice that I'm not having to type in 0.00 or let it know that we're talking about dollars. It's going to also let Excel know what kind of information we're working with here. So it's cutting a lot of steps out and letting me just plug my own information in and then changing it automatically within that total. So templates can help you save a lot of time overall. Let's go back and show you a little bit more about what we have within Excel. We have some more friends joining us. Very cool. All right, so that's going to be a bit about templates. And remember, within templates, you're going to be able to search here at the top if there's a particular type of template that you're looking for, or something that a task that you're looking to complete. You can use this helpful search bar at the top to help you overall. So if we have a project, we can search project and see all the different things that we have for the different types of projects. And it's just going to search through the keywords there, whether you're working on a timeline with milestones or a construction proposal. We're going to have all kinds of templates available here, available for you. All right, so a little bit more about what we have within this Home tab. The Home tab is also going to give you the ability to see all of your recent documents, and these are going to be all the Excel and only Excel documents that you've opened up recently. And you're also going to have a helpful search bar at the top up here where you're going to have access to search through all of the items that you have saved. So if you have hundreds of Excel spreadsheets, you can get to the very one that you're looking for with this helpful search bar. We're also going to have a helpful pin area. And if you ever would like to pin a document into this area, you can just hover over this document, and I can click on this little pin icon here to pin this item into my pinned area. And this is just so you can quickly access this document at any time. And if I want to unpin it, all I have to do is click on that unpin tool to unpin it from this area. Lastly, we're going to have an area for the Excel documents that have been shared with me, and it's going to be right here, easily accessible for me. We're also going to see this share button, and we're going to see this later on through the training today. But if I ever would like to share a document to anyone, this is going to be the ability, give me the ability to share this document. So, and I didn't want to click on that. Let me take it a step back. I'm going to close this out, and we're going to go back into my file tab here. Let's say I wanted to share this document out. I can click on the share icon, and it's going to ask me to upload my workbook to share it if I have not uploaded it yet, but I can decide where I would like to upload it. And then it's going to log me in here and give me the ability to share this via cloud storage here. And it's going to let me know how it's sharing it. So it's going to share this link to a new Outlook message. So I can tell whoever I send this to, hey, check your Outlook email, and it will be there for you. But the first thing that you'll do anytime that you share a document is you're going to specify who this link is going to work for. So I can say where it says anyone with a link, I can click on that area there. And I can put it down to anyone with a link that has a link to this this workbook it's going to work for, or I can say people in my organization with the link, or I can set it to people with existing access, or I can also set it to specific people. Then I can decide whether or not I want them to just be able to edit it, or if I want them to be able to view it, but not make any changes to the document. So you can specify not only if they get the document, but how they're able to change it once they do get it. And then if I want to, I can even apply an expiration date to these editing permissions. So right down below here, where it says month, day, year, I can go in, select the date, and when I click onto this area, it's going to have a helpful calendar that will open up, and I can select what date I would like this to stop, and I can even password protect it as well. If I click into this area, I can apply a password, which of course I will have to provide to others so that they're able to open this workbook with that password protected lock there. But you'll have the ability to set these permissions before you send it off to anyone. So I can say apply, and then the next thing that we're going to do is we can just type in the name of the person we want to send it to. So let's say I wanted to send it to my colleague Colin here. I can type in Colin's name, and it's going to find Colin here, and I can select him. Since he's within my organization, it's going to let me pull up anybody that is within my org. But if I wanted to send it to an email that was not within my organization, I could type out this email from here to find that individual that way. It's next going to give me the ability to add in a message as well. So I can say, hey, Colin, this is our flight summary document. Let me know if you have any questions about it and clarify what kind of document we're talking about here, and then say send to send it off. Alternatively, you can also come down here where it says copy link. You can also share a link elsewhere. So if I wanted to go into Teams perhaps, or just send it manually from my own Outlook without doing it this way, I can once again specify who it's going to work for just by clicking on that, set those permissions up, say apply, and then it's going to say creating a shareable link where I can just simply copy that link going into Teams, and I'm going to open up my chat, and let's say I wanted to send this to Alex. I could go in and say send, or copy and paste, and then send it into this area here. And I just do Control V to quickly copy and paste like that. But you can always right click and then say paste as well. And you'll also see all the shortcuts there if you right click. But so many, a couple different ways that you can share these links out very easily. All right, so that's a little bit about sharing these documents. Let's open up a new document and talk a little bit about what we have inside of an Excel here. So whenever we first open up an Excel spreadsheet, this is completely blank, or any spreadsheet at all, we're going to see columns across the top, and our columns are always going to be identified by letters, and then our rows will go down the side, and those will be identified by numbers. Whenever we have a particular cell selected, and this little area that I have selected here is a cell, and spreadsheets are just made of tons of cells here, but we can identify what cell that we are in here at the very top right here. It will say F9, and it's letting me know that I'm in column F and row 9. So we're always going to know where we're at within this name box here. It will let us know what cell that we have selected at this moment. So that's going to be very helpful information. We're also going to have down here at the bottom the ability to generate new sheets. So the sheets are going to have just sheet 1. As I add in additional sheets, we'll have a plus sign right here that will let me add additional sheets to this document. But we'll have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. We'll be able to rename these sheets just by right-clicking on them. And then within this menu, we can say rename. And then I can name this sheet whatever I would like it to say here. So let's say I wanted it to say, admit our friend here. All right. So let's say I wanted this to say geography. And then this one, we can make it say population. And I'm just typing in random words here, but you get the picture. We're able to change these sheets to whatever name we would like them to have. And if we right click, we'll also be able to change the tab color. So if I'm wanting for geography to be orange, and then if I want the population to be blue, I can change the color of these tabs so that they're easily identifiable by others as I go through and change the names of these sheets. We're also going to have the ability to delete these sheets. So if I'm wanting to delete it, I can say delete to remove it altogether. We're also going to see some other options with this so far, such as protecting the sheet. So if I'm wanting to protect the sheet from formatting or from things being deleted, this will let me protect this particular sheet alone. And this will let me provide a password to unprotect this one particular sheet. So this is going to be different than protecting the entire document like we saw at the beginning when we were sharing this document out. This will let me password protect just this sheet alone. So that's how you can make changes for just this sheet alone here. And something to mention, if you would like to go into the chat area, we'll have at aka.ms/CST Excel workbooks. That is an excellent practice workbook that you can work in if you're wanting to just play with some information, play with some data. Even after today's training, you can do that within the chat there. But just copy and paste that link into your browser to be able to access that. Thank you for posting that, Darius. All right, so a little bit more about what we have here. So remember, we'll be able to select a cell anytime we're wanting to just change our information here. I can begin just typing into my cell here. Alternatively, we'll also have the ability to come up here to the top, not like that, but we can come up here into our formula bar to make any changes in that way. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our ribbon up here at the top. And first off, I'm going to drag some information in here for us to play around with. But are there any questions so far about anything that I've covered?
Hey, Georgia, so far there aren't any questions in the chat.
All right, thank you so much. Let us know if you have any questions in the chat area, or feel free to also come off mute as well. And we're definitely here to help. All right, so here, yeah, I've got some information added in here, and it's just random location data, doesn't mean anything. But we're going to have here in the top, as I begin talking about this, I'm going to also show you what we can do with this information and how we can alter this information as we go along here. All right, so here at the top, we're going to have the ability to undo or redo any action that I make here. So if I change Chicago or delete Chicago, and it was a complete accident and I want to take that back, I can come here to the top and undo that action or redo that action. Just with the back arrow undoing it, forward arrow will redo that action. We're also going to be able to go into a drop-down menu to actually redo or undo multiple steps. So if I want to take it all the way back to undoing the typing of the budget overview, or typing 124 in I3 way back at the beginning, I can undo that action, or I can say undo all 8 of these actions. Remember, anytime you do this, it's going to undo all of the actions before it. So just be mindful how far back you send those actions to undo there. It's not going to let you undo just that one action, but all of the actions that have taken place up until that one. But that can be a very helpful tool if you mess up further back and you know where you messed up. You can always go into that drop down and say, okay, yeah, I messed up way back here. Let me undo all 5 of those actions and take me back to where I need to be. That can be a life-saving tool there. Right next to that, we're going to have the ability to cut, to copy, to paste, and that's simply just going to let me select that information. And let's say I wanted to copy this gadget information here and put it somewhere else. I can select that information. Anytime we see this white plus icon here with the center open there, this is going to let me select information. So we're going to see 3 different arrows within Excel. This is going to be our selection tool when we have this one in view. But after I have selected something, let's say I wanted to copy this, I can say copy here at the top to copy that. And anything that we have copied will have that dotted line around it here. But we're also going to be able to say Control C on our keyboard if we would like to copy it. And then I can select the area that I would like it pasted. And let's say I wanted it over here. I can say paste to paste all of the information that I had selected there. If I wanted to take the entire table and select the whole table, I can select the whole table just by saying copy and then come over here and we can say paste to paste it there. So very quick and easy copy options there. For anything that I would like to remove, I can say cut to cut it out if I'm wanting to remove it, or you can just simply hit backspace. We'll say backspace to delete, or you can also, I like to, whenever I'm deleting within Excel, I like to right click and then just say delete, and then you can choose whether or not you would like to delete the entire column, the entire row. If I say the entire row, that's going to remove not just what's here within this table, but it's going to delete this area over here. So let me show you. If I say delete entire row, that's going to delete everything that was a part of this row. But as you can see, the numbers are going to stay the same. It's just going to delete the content within that area. So we can do the same thing for this over here, but instead we're going to say delete. And that's just right clicking on that item. Then you can say delete. And then I can say delete the entire column in this case, or the entire row since it's not going to really make any changes. And then I can still delete it. We still have column H there, but the content within that column has now been removed. So we're going to have that delete tool there. Our second arrow that we're going to have within Excel, we have our selection tool. This is what that bad boy is going to look like. But let's say I wanted to extend information out, which can be a helpful tool anytime you're wanting to. There's a couple of scenarios that I like to use this. If I type in Monday here at the top, something that we're going to have the ability to do is I can extend this out. Anytime I see this, the dark arrow that we have here, this is going to let me distribute a value. So whether or not I want it to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I can drag it down, or I can select Monday and then I can also drag it this way to see the same distribution. So it's going to take days of the week and save you some time with that. We're also going to have the ability to do this with number patterns as well. So there's a couple of different things that it will let you distribute. Days of the week, if I do January and I want to extend it out, and say February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, all the way to December, I can create a calendar very quickly. So for patterns that exist very commonly, it's going to let me use that distribution capability to just quickly place those values in for me automatically. This can help you save a lot of time with this. Another thing that we're going to see, our last arrow, is going to be our arrow that will let us move items around. Whenever we have something selected in the center here, we're going to see our white arrow. But if I move my cursor slightly down and we're anywhere between the points of the box, essentially. So if I'm in the corner over here, we're going to see, or if I'm in the corner over here, I mean, on the right-hand side where this point is, we're going to see our distribution value. But if I move it slightly upward in between the point of those two lines, we're going to see an arrow with arrows going outward to the top, left, right, and kind of a compass type view here. This is going to let me select this and move it wherever I'm wanting it to go. So if I wanted January, February, March to be over here, I can select those items. If I want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday to come over here, I can select in between those lines here and just click and drag to move where I would like that to go. So very quick and easy moves here. And I'm going to delete these items as well. Any questions so far about anything I have covered? Or anything about these arrows? All right. We'll continue on. Another important part as you're creating these items, I see a great question that came in about saving information. Excel is going to give you the ability to auto save your information here at the very top. So as I'm creating these workbooks and I don't want to lose my work, I can come up here to the top and slide this toggle icon to be on. And then it's just going to have me save where I would like it to save to. And I'll save my workbook, and then I can say, I'll say population data. And then we can say, okay, and we'll name our document. And now that it is in autosave mode, any changes that I make to this document will automatically be saved. So if I close it out, my computer crashes or dies, it's going to still have this information and all of the work that I've had saved up until this point. So definitely make sure you're saving your work. There's nothing more sickening than losing your information that you've been working hours on and realizing that you never saved it. So let's talk more about our options here at the top. So right next to cut, copy, and our paste options, we're going to have the ability to change our text size as well as the font that I'm using. So I can go into this drop-down menu and change my font size. We're also going to have the quick ability to select our information. And let's say I wanted to increase my font size a bit. I'll have an arrow with, or an A with the arrow up and an A with the arrow down. This will let me quickly increase or decrease my font size just by clicking that button there. If I'm not into going into this drop down menu and choosing the size from there, I can save myself some time with that. We're also going to see that we can bold, italicize, underline our information here, and apply those things. Another thing that we're going to see here is our bottom border tool. So I can select these items and this already has a border around it. But if in a scenario that it does not have a border around it, like my January, February, March, I can select these items here that I would like to be bordered going into this area. And I can say bottom border, which is just going to put a border around the bottom. But let's say I wanted it to say all borders. I can say all borders, and that's going to put a line around all of it, around each of those cells that I have selected there. So you can apply those borders from here. If I want it to have thick outside borders, I can say thick outside borders so that it has a thicker outside than the lines on the inside. So we can get really specific on what kind of bordering we would like it to have there. Or I can say erase border if I'm wanting to remove any border that I have applied here. I can just use this magical eraser and say, okay, oh, I don't like the way that looks, and remove it altogether. We're also going to see that I can highlight information or apply a fill color is what we call it within Excel. So I can select the area that I would like to have that fill color and then just apply that fill color from here. And I could even go in, say apply thick borders, and then we can say all borders to put it on the inside as well. And there we go. Put my thick border back on. So we'll do all border and then thick border to put a nice thick border around the outside. So very quick and easy options there to change it around. Another thing that we're going to see right next to our border tool and our fill color is going to be our text color change. So this is going to let me change the color of the text alone, and that's going to have the A with the line underneath it there to change the text color. Right next to that, we're going to see our alignment options. This will let me either center align it, left align my text, or right align it. Make sure that you have the text selected that you would like to change. So if I want these items to be center aligned, I can say center to make sure that each of the words are centered in there. We're also going to see that I have the ability to let Excel know what kind of information we're working with here. So within this area, we saw this earlier, within the table that already was created within our templates there, we had it in a currency format, and it was putting everything in that dollar format for us. This number area here is where we're going to have the ability to let Excel know what kind of information we're working with here. So I can select my information. Let's say I wanted it to know that gadgets, well, we want it to know that this area here is all going to be a particular amount here. So we're going to be able to go into this drop-down menu. So I'm going to select that information, and I can go into this drop-down menu. And right now I have it set at a number format, which is great for any kind of just identifying any type of unit. If it's not a currency, we can just put it in a simple number format. But we're going to have even more options here. We'll have within our dropdown, we'll have currency, accounting, for accounting purposes. We're also going to see that we can apply short dates or long dates. So let's say I have, let's say 12, 21, 2022. And then I could go through and let's say I have a couple of values here. And then I want to select these values here and change it from the date that I have here to being a long date. Right now it's just under a date format, but let's say I wanted it to be a long date, and it's going to have these numbers here, and that's letting me know that it doesn't have enough information or enough room to show that information. So I'm just going to click and drag that over a little bit more, and then we'll see Wednesday, December 21st, Thursday, December 22nd. So that's how I could put that in the long date format, or I could take it back into that short date format if I wanted it to be 12/21 and 12/22. But it's going to automatically take that date that I've entered and convert it into a long date time. We're also going to have the ability to change the time as well. So if I wanted to just willy-nilly write 11 a.m., it will put it in this long time format for me as well. It helped me save a lot of time to make sure everything has that consistent look that I'm going for here. We're going to have the ability to not only change the dates, we can change things to percentages as well. So if I have 0.05, 0.06, and I'm just typing random numbers here, 0.07, 0.08, and I want to convert these all over into percentages, I can select those values going into this drop-down menu and then say percentage to convert all of these over into percentages. And let's say I want to get rid of these zeros here. Right underneath our value counter here, we're going to have our format, our number formatting tool, not our value counter, but our number formatting tool is what that's called. We're going to see that we have the ability to increase or decrease our decimal values. So with this, we can take it a step back just by clicking on the arrow back key. And this is going to add values in. So when you click it to the left, or not to the left, when you click the arrow that is pointing to the left, that is going to simply move that decimal value over one more to the left. But if I want to get rid of those zeros, I'm going to click on that 4 times there and take it down to 5, 6, 7, 8% there. So we're going to have the ability to do that anytime we're wanting to get rid of those decimal values, we can use that to take it down, but it's not going to let me take it any further down past where the decimal ends there. We're also going to have the ability underneath here, let's say we're dealing with a currency, we can identify what type of currency we're working with. If we're working with the United States dollar, the United King, what am I saying? Not United King, the United Kingdom currency or euros, or we'll also have the ability to add in more accounting formats as well if we're wanting to add those in from here. So we'll have all kinds of formatting options available here. And we'll also have our percentage tool here. So if I didn't want to go into the drop-down menu, I'll have a quick percentage tool to get me into that same option here. And if I want to take it back from percentage into fraction, I can go into fraction, or I don't mean to click on time, but we'll have the ability to go into percentage. If I want to take it back into its number format, and go back into that drop down and say number to take it right back to the number format. So you'll have the option to change all of these items out. Another thing that we're going to see is our conditional formatting tools. So under conditional formatting, it's going to give us the ability to highlight cells based on values that are currently present within the data. So this can help us identify where we need to pay attention to certain areas, or if numbers are too low or too high, we can add in these cell rules here. With this, we can apply these highlighting cell rules, and I won't talk too much about this since we have a whole workshop about this. But just to get you introduced into this area, this will let us apply the cell highlighting rules for values that are greater than, less than, or between or equal to certain values that we have specified. So within this, we'll also see that I can highlight it based on text that it contains. So let's say I wanted it to highlight anytime it says Los Angeles, I can go in, I can highlight this area here, and we can say conditional formatting. And then I could go in to highlighting cell rules and say text that contains, and then I can choose what kind of text I would like it to contain. And we'll delete location. And let's say I wanted to say Los, and without typing anything else, we'll see that Los Angeles is already highlighted there. And then I can decide what I would like it to have, or what color I would like Los Angeles to be. So I can say a green color for Los Angeles anytime Los Angeles comes up. And that's one way that we could do that. It's also going to let me do this with numbers as well. So if I wanted to highlight all of the numbers that are greater than 5,000, I could say, well, we won't say 5,000 because I think that will be all of them. We'll say 6,000. So I'll say greater than, and then I'll say 6,000. And then I can choose what color I would like it to be. So everything greater than 6,000 can be yellow. And then everything, if let's say I wanted everything, oh, let me do that one more time. Let's say highlight cells greater than, and we'll say 6,000. One more time. And then we'll make those green and say okay. And then I can do the same thing for all of the cells less than 6,000. I could go in, highlight cell rules and say less than, and we'll say 6,000. And then I could say, let's make those red and say, okay. And very quickly it will identify, okay, these are the areas that are below that 6,000 range that we're looking for. So, and you don't have to highlight Chicago and Denver and all of that if you don't want to, but in this case, that's how I did it, and that's how it looks. But you can just highlight the number values there to do exactly the same thing there. Another tool that we're going to see here is the ability to insert, delete, or format these existing cells. So I can go in. Let's say I wanted to add a column to this cell, or to this this table here. Let's make this a table because it's not yet a table. It looks like a table, but a table is actually going to have a little more tools available. So let's talk about making tables and the fastest way to do it. So let's say I wanted to make this a table range. I'm going to highlight, or not highlight, but select those cells. And then I'm going to, on my keyboard, say Control and the letter T as in table. It's automatically going to pull up this little chart here that says, where is the data for your table? And I already have it selected, but if I didn't have it selected yet, I could go in and I could select that range after the fact. The next thing that we're going to do is we can let Excel know that my table has headers, and that's going to let me tell Excel that this top row is a header row, which it is. So we're going to say, yes, my table has headers, and we're going to say, okay. Now that our table has been created, I'm going to stretch these out a little bit more here. Now that our table has been created, we're going to notice a little arrow drop down here. This is going to actually let me now sort through these columns, and I can select what I would like to see. So let's say I wanted to unselect everything and only see the information for Chicago. I can select Chicago and say okay, and it's only going to show me the information for Chicago. If I want to clear out this filter, I could go back into that dropdown and say clear filter from location to see my original view again. Now that we have converted this to a table as well, now when I select inside of this table range, we're going to see a table design tab here at the very top. And that's going to let me do all kinds of things like change my table style here. If I'm wanting to change my table style to a different one, I can change my table style. But since I have that conditional formatting set, it's not going to let me do too much there. But we're going to have the ability to change our theme around if we're wanting a different color range. We can do that from here. Another thing that we're going to have the ability to do is remove the duplicates from our table. So I could say remove duplicates to remove any duplicates that are existing here so that I don't have to worry about having information listed twice in this area. So we're going to have some amazing tools here, but remember that if I'm outside of this table design, let's say I'm in a cell over here, we're not going to see that table design tab anymore. Only when you have a cell selected within that table range will you see that table design tool. We're going to notice this pattern again later on. Anytime we insert items, let's say I'm in my insert tool here, and I insert a picture into my document. And I'm going to go into the cell over here and say insert picture, and we're just going to say stock images. And this is kind of like old school clip art here. But let's say I wanted to insert this picture of a city here and say insert. And I'm going to change the size of this picture here and just click and drag the edges. Anytime you're wanting to change the size of an image, you'll see these little dots around the edges. It's going to let you click and drag to change the dimensions of that item. If I click and drag from the bottom here, that's going to let me kind of squish it in and change the vertical range there. But we're going to have the ability to change the overall size of the image very quickly just by clicking that bottom right corner there. But you'll notice whenever I have added this picture in, it now has a picture format tool here at the top. So just like we saw with that table design tool, we'll see our picture formatting options when we have a picture selected. And if I select outside of that picture, the picture format tool goes away. So anytime you're wanting to see the powers that you have for that particular item that you've inserted, you just have to have it selected there. All right, so let's talk more about this ribbon and the tools that we're going to have within this area here. So we'll have our conditional formatting that we've talked about. We can format our table and see all the different theme options that we have here, light, medium, dark, deciding what kind of contrast theme that we would like for our table overall. We're also going to have the ability to identify cells just by clicking on these values here. So let's say I wanted this cell value to be yellow. I can click on this yellow, and because I have that conditional formatting set, it's not going to let me. So let me go into a new, and We're going to just copy some other information here. And we're going to paste that in. And we have a new table here. All right, perfect. All right. All right, so I've added in some more information here. Once again, just random information for us to play with here. So I've added in some more information here. Let's say I wanted to identify this one cell as neutral. I can click on neutral. I can make this one bad, this one good. This is going to let you just identify those cells manually just by clicking on those styles one at a time there. We're also going to see our insert options here where I can insert sheet rows. So let's say I wanted to turn this entire table into a table. I'm going to say select all and then Control T to turn it into a table once again. Make this top row be a header row and say OK. And then I could go in and change the table style. Let's say I wanted it to be orange. I can make it orange or blue, whatever color suits my team there. And we'll see that it always applies those banded rows for me. So I don't have to worry about doing that. All right, let's take it back a step. So we talked a bit about our home tab here. We're also going to see the ability to auto sum information or also average. We can count the numbers that are present, find maximum or minimum values. Let's say I wanted to find the average of our numbers here for June of 2021. I want to highlight those cells that I would like to average out there, and we're going to omit the very top header row there. And then we're going to go into auto sum here, and we're going to say average. And that's going to take my average value and put it right here down below all of those values. So going to give me a quick average of what the average is for all of the numbers that we have accumulated here. We're going to have the same ability for finding the maximum or minimum value that we have present. We can count all of the numbers that we have here, or find the sum of these numbers as well. So I can say sum, and it's just going to put the sum of those numbers down below my average. So I can create multiple calculations for that one column value there. All right, so let's talk more about what we have here. The next tab that we're going to have here at the top is our Insert tab. And under insert, you're going to have the ability to insert pivot tables, which we won't talk too much about today, but you're going to see that we can insert pictures from our device, which we have spoken about. We'll have shapes as well as icons that we can add in, much like clip art, once again, where we can incorporate those different images very quickly. And of course, they'll all have a helpful search bar here at the top to help you find what it is that you're looking for. We're also going to have the ability to insert recommended charts, or to find recommended charts that can best depict our information here. So with recommended charts, it's going to let me select the cells that contain the data that I would like to use. So let's say I wanted to make a chart of all of the individuals that work for these different locations here. I can select the locations and the individuals that I would like, and we're going to highlight those cells there. And I can go in and say recommended charts, and it's going to give me the count by the first name, so I can see how many associates, managers, specialists, and also trainees that I have within my organization based on their job title that's listed here. We can also see the count by the first name and by location as well. But in this case, let's make a clustered column chart of this. But if I go over, this is just the recommended charts. We're also going to have an all charts area, and that I can explore even more options like pie charts or bar charts. So if you're looking for a different type of chart to depict your information, we're going to see those options here. But in this case, I'm going to say OK to create a nice clustered column chart. And we'll have the ability, and this is a little area about pivot charts. But pivot charts are going to give you the ability to identify different fields and remove different fields, just by selecting these areas over here. So if I wanted to do it by last name, I can say last name to incorporate that into this chart here, or remove it just by clicking on that last name area again. So we can change these around a lot, and I can change the information just by selecting that information and saying count by job title. And then we'll see the number of associates, managers, specialists, and trainees that we have here. And it's going to be depicted for us. And you'll notice that we're in a brand new sheet. So it created a new sheet for us to put this information in. If I'm wanting to copy and paste this into my own chart, I can just select this chart here, and we're going to select in the white area there and say copy. And if I want to take it back into my population spreadsheet here, and scroll down and I can say paste to put it into this area. So you'll be able to move those items around, copy, paste them, move them wherever you're needing in the document, to get things done. And we're getting towards the end of our training. I'm going to let it go a little bit over since we started a little bit late. But as a reminder, this is going to be available to rewatch after the session today, using the same, well, not the same link, but you'll be able to access it from your meeting chat today. There will be a recording of this session where you could watch it from beginning to end there. And remember also to utilize that workbook that Darius posted just to play around with the information here. But are there any questions about anything I've covered so far? All right. Well, we'll continue on. Oh, I see a hand is up, Diane. Okay, I see your question here. How can you keep the picture to stay within one row or column and not allow it to move through the spreadsheet? That's a great question. So let's say I wanted to take a picture, and let's go over into our population data here, and grab our picture here. I can select that picture, and within our picture area, I can right click on this picture and move it around. But let's say I want to lock it in place. I'm not sure if we can do that. Let me see here. That's a great question that I have never ran into before. But this picture, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to move it around whatever way we're wanting to, as the editor of this picture. But if I'm wanting to lock it down, so that no one else is able to move it, what I would recommend is to go into that population sheet there and then say protect sheet. And then I can say within this area, I can say edit objects, or within this object editing, a picture would be an object there. So I can say edit objects, and then I could password protect this so that that kind of action cannot be made. That's what I would do to make sure that that can't happen. If I don't want the picture to move around anywhere, or anyone else to be able to move the picture, I can say edit objects so that they're not able to delete that item or move it at all. But I don't see a lock-in option for pictures anywhere. That's an excellent question, Diane. But that's exactly what I would do. I would make it so that the objects are not editable, and then apply a password so that it can't be changed, and don't share it with anybody but you. Or only share it with people that you would like to be able to move your picture around. And if you paste it in a specific area, so for example, this picture here, if I say copy and I go into this L cell over here and say paste, it's going to stay in that cell unless I click and drag it into another cell. It'll stay in that cell for me. So it will just put the top left-hand corner in that area of the cell there. So yeah, yep. Great question, Leah. In pictures, you could just select them and say backspace if you're ever wanting to remove them from your document. You could just select and say delete to remove. Excellent questions. Excellent questions. Something else that I would like for us to talk about before we leave each other is printing in Excel, because that can be a very important part, especially if we have a lot of information like we have here. Let's say I'm going to delete a couple of these columns here so that I can kind of depict this great, or a little bit better than I could there. All right, so let's say I wanted to print this page off here. What you'll do is you're going to go into File, and then we'll say Print. And whenever we go into our print options, we're going to see all of these pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, so many different pages just to represent this one sheet here. But let's say I want all of these all of these cells to fit nicely on this one sheet so that it flows as people are looking at this document. They're not like, okay, part of column A or part of this column is on this page, and it's kind of just all over the place. I wouldn't want to hand this document to anybody. We'll be able to go into our scaling options here. And the first thing that I like to do is say that I wouldn't say fit sheet on one page, because if I do, it's just going to jam everything in that one page. In some cases, that will work. But if you're dealing with a lot of information, it might be a little bit too much. So what we can do is we can say, instead of fitting sheet on one page, I'm going to say fit all of the columns, because in this case, we have less columns than we do rows. So I'm going to say fit all columns on one page. And it looks like I have some random information here that's throwing off this whole routine. But usually it would fill out this page with the columns if we didn't have this random little bit of numbers here. So I go back into my numbers. Yeah, we're going to delete this ref number. That's annoying. All right, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to say File and Print. And this is going to work now. Okay, there. So now it says fit all columns on one page. And now whenever I print it off and hand it to my colleague, they can see all of those columns fitting on that one page there. And if I'm wanting to, I can even say fit to one page, since it's not a lot of columns that I have on this other page. And then voila, we have all of the information, all of the associates and all of the data on this one page here, and you can hand it over to somebody. You can even go in if you're like, let me use a little bit more of this page here. I could say, instead of using these normal columns, let's say narrow, and let's use a little bit more space here. So you can decide how much information you're wanting on this page and really print it off so that you're not missing anything when you hand it over to somebody else. And great question. How do I make the header on both pages? So what I would do is with this, go in and we're going to go in if you're wanting to apply a header or a title on the page here, like I have within this area. Right now I have this whole header row, but let's say I want to title this page. I'm going to go in and I'm going to say insert. And instead of doing it from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this area. And for some reason, it's not going to let me do that. So what I would do is, in this scenario, to move it all down, we're going to say insert. And I want to say sheet rows. But I want to insert it in the top there. All right, perfect. All right, I inserted a little bit too many rows, but what I will do is I'm gonna select the areas that I would like to remove here. Because I just kind of want to put some columns above this. And I'm gonna say entire row and lower it down a bit. All right, so now I have some space here at the top. So all that I did was go in, select the area that you're wanting to, and then just say insert and then say sheet rows. And this is, and where it says table rows above, that's where I wanted to be able to select there. But that will let me put in table rows above this area here. And if I say table rows to the left, it's going to add in table rows to the left. For that, it's just going to actually add in table rows. I'm sorry, my brain turned off there for a split second. All right, so sheet rows are going to just be plain sheet rows. If it says table rows, though, that's going to insert rows into your actual table. And let's say I say insert table rows, that's going to let me add another row into this table. But if I say insert sheet rows, and let's say I wanted to add in a text box right here, I can say insert, and then I can go in under that insert page and say text box. And then I can just begin typing in this text box, decide how big I want this text box to be. And then I'm going to make my text size nice and large here. And then I can say employee data. And then whenever I go in and say file and print, it's going to say employee data at the top there and have that title. Great questions. Are there any other questions I can answer before we wrap up today's training? All right. Well, with that, I thank you all for joining us today, and thank you for staying a little bit longer with me to get a little bit more information. Once again, this is going to be an available resource to everyone after today's training. The recording will be available in our meeting chat for everyone to be able to view this after the session today and watch it as many times as you need. And of course, utilize those training resources that Darius placed in the chat there. And it was once again a great pleasure training you all. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your day. We're going to turn off this meeting recording now so that it's available.